Member for Essex.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank my good friend, the honourable member for Northumberland Quinte West, who raises several wonderful points that I think have been well articulated throughout the several weeks that we've debated this bill. Number one, I think that he raises is that there has yet to be a fulsome apology from the government side on the actions that were taken during the G20 and the secretive nature that brought about the imposition of this bill on those peaceful protesters that took to the streets during the G20 summit. So, you know, that certainly should be a component that the government realizes and hears. Potentially, maybe just as a tip, when you do finally introduce this, or you know, if this bill gets passed, you may want to preface the remarks with a fulsome apology, because I think it will go a long way to having some acceptance, having the Ontarians accept the sincerity of this bill. Secondly, I see that the government's seats are quite vacated, but I would caution the minister as well as members that threats to our nuclear system and to our energy capabilities and infrastructure aren't as they were in the past. I wonder if the ministry is contemplating virtual threats, and by that I mean viruses that are launched by outside forces, similar to the Stuxnet virus that was launched on other nuclear facilities. We have to take a serious look at this. I don't know if this bill goes that far in terms of the scope, but there are outside influences and threats that are even more tangible than any one person or group could ever offer to infrastructure. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Questions and comments? The Minister of Community Safety and Correctional Services.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to rise today to speak on the comment that was moved forward by the member from Northumberland Quinte West on this bill. First of all, I want to thank him for his support. He's going to support this bill. And it's about time that this bill has been reviewed, and under the great recommendation from Justice McMurtry, we have drafted a bill to replace the one that is outdated. And we thank Justice McMurtry for his good recommendation. It's important that our courthouse and our electric facility be safe, and also the people that work in our court facility, our judges, our crown, and all the officials, because of unfortunate happening in the past. Judge McMurtry saw it fit that we not only do away with the past bill, but that we replace this bill to ensure that our court are very secure and our electricity facility are also very secure. So I encourage all members in the House to support this new bill, and you know, if they have any suggestion to improve it, we're open to it. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Questions and comments? The member for Haldimand Norfolk.
Thank you, Speaker. Very good presentation by the member for Northumberland Quinte West, and we shouldn't be surprised. Former high school teacher and a farmer. There's a few of us in this House that have had those careers, and it brings forward the kind of common sense and communication skills that you would expect having a background like that. And Rob took over a riding that was one time for many years was represented by Doug Galt. who had quite a presence in this legislature. There seemed to be an ongoing duel year after year between that member, Doug Galt, and a member from a neighboring riding who's actually still here and continues the oratorical tradition. The was a tough fight during the election to get this member here, and by what we see in this legislature, it's going to be a little easier next time. With respect to this legislation, it focuses, it's almost too focused in a sense, and I know the members of opposite have, and I see in Hansard have said, well, we have the criminal code, we have the Trespass to Property Act, we have other more modern legislation that is far superior to what we had 70, 71, or 72 years ago when this legislation was brought in, and I think that's somewhat naive. We continue to live in dangerous times, and I know someone in the House said we no longer need to fear saboteurs operating in the dark of night. I think that's naive given the present situation in our world, Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions and comments? The member for Beaches, East York.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I listened intently to the member from Northumberland, Quinte West. I have not had an opportunity because he's so recently arrived to hear him speak many times in this House, and I want to commend him for what he had to say. He had a very good analysis of why we are here debating this particular bill. And it isn't so much that people on the opposition side are opposed to this bill, because we all recognize that this bill is preferable to the one that it's replacing. But the question still has to be asked, and he asked it very well. How is it that after 70 years of existence, this was the first time that any government saw fit to use it? How is it that it was not used in its I would put form of barbarity during the entire Second World War? It was not used during the Korean War. It was not used at any juncture, even in the War Measures Act. No government of Ontario saw fit to use this bill until the Liberals a few years ago looked at it in light of G20 and thought this was the answer, this was the solution, this is what needed to happen. Well, he is absolutely right that it was inappropriate, and he's absolutely right it needs to be replaced, because I don't think we should ever allow any government of any stripe to use that kind of bill against the civil liberties of the people of this province ever again. He was absolutely right that this was used, and what is happening now is a cover for the inappropriate actions that this government used against the people of Ontario last year. And, you know, he's absolutely right that not one of the 14 cabinet ministers or those who hung around the table on that day had the courage to stand up and to protect the civil liberties of the people of this province. And so I commend him for what he had to say here today. We need to get on with passing this bill, but we ought never to forget why this bill is here in the first place.
We've had 4 questions and comments. I now return to the member for Northumberland Quinte West, who has 2 minutes to reply.
Mr. Speaker, you know, listening to my NDP colleagues and their kind remarks regarding Bill 34, the member from Essex, as well as Beaches, East York, and the minister for her acknowledgement that we do have to move forward on this type of bill to ensure that the civil liberties that we do so enjoy as Canadians and Ontarians don't get trampled on or overrun by any government, regardless of stripes, like the member from Beaches, East York, mentioned. I'd also like to thank my member from Haldeman Norfolk, Mr. Barrett, for his acknowledgements as well. You know, obviously, all parties have, again, moved forward, and this is why we're debating this bill today, to ensure, again, that those civil liberties are going to be protected And but there's more that we can do as well, Mr. Speaker. Not any piece of legislation is perfect. Mr. Barrett has also, the member from Norfolk, Alderman had talked earlier about protecting other facilities as well in up in northern Ontario, Anacoca, and oil refineries. And this is an area as well I think we definitely need to look into to ensure that those facilities are also brought under the umbrella. But I'm sure that will be something that we look at in future, and I think that's definitely a positive step that we're taking by debating this Bill 34 here today. So thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.